Good evening and welcome to Dark Hour Paranormal. I am your host, Michael Roser. And tonight, folks, guys, yet again, here we go. I have one hell of a show to offer you all this evening. Tonight, I have Kenneth Pass, an abduction experiencer, researcher, participant, and somebody with one of the most incredible abduction stories of our time. First seen on ThirdPhaseOfMoon and then ThirdPhase, respectively. Kenneth Pass has quite the story to tell and share with you all tonight. Folks, we're going to get into the details of what this man has experienced and how it has affected his life then and all the way up to this point. Folks, I'm very, very honored to have Kenneth Pass with us this evening. I thank you all for being here tonight. Again, just to reiterate, Kenneth was on ThirdPhaseOfMoon recently with his story, and then it was covered again on ThirdPhase. Guys, check out those interviews. It's integral to understanding, I think, some of the depth of what we're going to get into tonight with Kenneth, as we will, briefly overview his experience and then dive right in. One thing I wanted to mention was that ThirdPhaseOfMoon has very much gone out of their way and done some extraneous research attempting to corroborate Kenneth's story by reaching out to the Mendocino Sheriff's Department, the park's Boys and Girls Club, of which he was a part of during the time that he was abducted, as well as the Beacon newspaper that's out there in that area. And we're awaiting some response, but they are hot on the trail and working very hard to get some answers for ourselves and, more importantly, for Kenneth. So without further ado, folks, I'd like to turn this over to the interview without waiting too much longer here, because I'm so excited to have Kenneth with me. Again, as I mentioned, I'm very honored, and I hope that you guys are really going to enjoy this broadcast, as I know I will. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce to you for the third time, Kenneth Pass. Kenneth, how are you tonight, my friend?
Very good. Thank you. Thank you for letting me be on tonight and share with everybody.
Oh, it's my absolute pleasure. And I'm really happy that I could be a part of, you're exposing this story to the masses, because honestly, you guys are going to find out what kind of story this is. It's fascinating, the detail that Kenneth remembers and can very quickly recall. So, Kenneth, can you give us just a brief overview of your experience? And again, if you guys would, I'm not asking, I'm telling you, please go and check out the interview that he did on ThirdPhaseOfMoon for all of the other details that fill in here. But very quickly, Kenneth, could you give us an overcap?
Yeah, I went to, I was a kid. I went to a camp in Mendocino County, California, San Francisco Boys and Girls Club, summer camp for kids. I went on to one of these activities called a 50-mile hike. This was back in the early 80s.
And this existed?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. They gave us the big, heavy backpacks from the 1980s. There was a really, really heavy backpack. All your clothes, because this was a 50-mile hike, and it was not just a one-day hike. It was a couple of day hike, a couple of days. Mm-hmm. And, they got my clothes, my sleeping bag, and everything like that. There were 3 boys, 1 little girl, one little blonde-haired girl, 2 men staff members, and a female staff member. The 7 of us went on this 50-mile hike together. And, we're hiking deep in the woods in Mendocino County, California, and we come across the dead deer. The dead deer had its eye removed, its half of its face removed down to the bone, and this fur on the stomach area was missing, but there was a thin membrane holding all the guts inside from spilling out on the ground. And me being a kid, never seen a deer before, let alone a dead one. Kids are going to be, "Ooh, look at the dead deer." So we're all looking at the dead deer, and the staff members are talking amongst themselves, huddled together in like a little group. And those kids are looking at it, and they yell at us, "Back away, keep away from that dead deer, leave it alone." And we're like, okay. Then we venture, keep on going. And then we come across the man's wallet. The man wasn't around, nowhere to be seen, but it was an orange wallet. He kind of looked like a Mexican man. And we all passed it around, and I was the last one to look at it, and it had his credit cards and his driver's license in there, and well, I thought I was going to keep it, but I felt it was the wrong thing to do, so I left it on the trail on the left side, and we keep on walking, and it's getting late. We're doing pretty good. We're stopping here and there because we have to rest and drink water and stuff like that. But we set up camp. We didn't have no tents. We just had sleeping bags. And I had some, the staff members set up camp, campfire song, for kids. It's cool. It's real neat. I'm really loving this, being out in nature and stuff like that. And had some strawberry Pop-Tarts and some marshmallows that night. And I zipped up my sleeping bag because I was afraid of the bugs, I didn't want to have no bugs in my sleeping bag. So, and then later that night, we got woken up, but we were walking like zombies, not under our control at all, kind of like a puppet, walking into a craft. It was a black flower petal pattern craft. And we walked into this craft, and we seen that, I seen that I was laying down on a table inside of the craft. I was laying on my left side, and they removed my right eyeball. They removed my eye. I can see my eye in front of my other eye, and I'm just a kid, okay? I can see my other eye in front of my eye, and they shoved something up in my nose, and I heard a crunch up into my nose, and they also put something in my ear. There's a scar right here, and right above the scar, there's a little lump. There's a scar. And they also, with some kind of a laser, like a pen wand device, like a pen wand, they marked in my skin the star system of Orion star system on my skin on the right side. And I still have all this today. And well, the little blonde-haired girl, she was also laid down at the table at the same time I was. And they took all her clothes off too. And all the other children and the staff members were inside of a holding cell cubicle inside of the craft. It looked like a clear plexiglass. Looked like clear plexiglass, but it was, a cube shape. It was, it was a holding cell. And the staff members were banging and yelling and screaming, "Don't hurt the children, or else we're going to kill you." And I got to sit, after I was done, I got to sit at a console inside of the craft, and it had a whole bunch of buttons inside of the craft I was sitting at. A whole bunch of buttons, and it kind of went like that with the ship. And there was like a little window, it looks like a 6-inch window above the console. And we were taken to some place that was like an underground cave, and there were four tall extraterrestrials. They looked like the extraterrestrials off of Whitley Strieber's Communion. They look like that, sandy tan color, like a tan, a soft tan. And there were four talls, and there was one small one with kind of like an elephant skin. I got the picture of him. Like an elephant skin texture. No disrespect to my elders. I was made to get some kind of a box cube in this underground place, in this underground city, in this underground cavern place. I had to jump over bigger box cubes to get to the back of the underground cave so I can get to the small one. So I'd figure out a way to jump across, and I jumped across. I didn't want to do it. But then I landed on my butt. I dust off my butt, off the dirt, because I had to jump pretty far, and I landed on my butt. And then I go over there. I seen there was a cutout spot in the underground cave. There was two talls watching me the whole time, up here, in like a spot cut out. And I get the box cube. I'm looking at it. I'm sitting on my butt crying, because I'm kind of scared. And the box cube it's moving like Mercury and it looks like a kind of like a wood metal kind of like color, like a gunmetal, but kind of like a wood. But it was like moving like mercury when I looked into it. And then I heard in my head, they said, "Come bring us the box cube." And I was like, "No, no, 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 no." And they said, "Bring us the box cube." And I sat there for a couple minutes looking at it and crying and looking up at them watching me the whole time.
Mhm.
And then the staff member come around the corner, the passageway, and he said, "Kenneth, let's go. They want us to leave now. Let's go. Get up. Let's go. Let's go home. Time to go." And I was like, "No," because I felt safe over there. I felt safe.
Right.
And then, he said it again a couple of times, and I'm like, okay, fine. And then I get up. I'm looking to see where I have to jump across this area where these bigger box cubes are, like the smaller one, sort of like, kind of like. And I take running jump, and I hop, 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 and I'm on the other side of this place. And then I pass the staff member, the two talls, and then I hand the box cube to the smaller one. I hand the box cube to the smaller one, and I turned to look at the two talls that were looking at me the whole time, and he put his hand on my right shoulder, and I shrugged it off, and then I ran back into the craft, and I put my head at the console like you do at a desk. And then I felt everybody come on because the craft would jiggle a little bit when someone would walk into the craft. And then it took up like on a speed 10 on a DVD player straight up out of this place. And next thing I know, I'm touching buttons. And when I'm touching these buttons, someone comes up from behind me, one of the elders, one of the extraterrestrial elders. And he goes, "There's nothing for you to see outside the window. Everything doesn't exist. Everything is gone. There was no trees, no ground, no sky, no stars, no nothing." And it was daytime when we came up out of this underground place. So we were there for a long time because when we got taken, it was nighttime. So this was in the daytime. And when we took up, it was daytime. So, and then I look out the window, and then I'm touching buttons, and then something about the field, because I understood everything about the craft, because I was connected to the collective. I was connected to their collective through your mind, and well, we were time traveling. We were a singularity separated from all existence, and we were time traveling.
Was this like being in a void? Do you think that's what it was? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I was curious. Sorry, go on.
There was nothing existed outside the singularity. We were a singularity amongst ourselves. And I was driving the craft, pushing buttons, and a part of the collective through telepathy is what I was trying to say a little while ago. And we were recorded in ancient Romania at the church. I landed the craft. I jump outside of the craft. I used the ramp that goes into the craft in and out. I used it like a springboard. And I went to inside the building, and I found out that it was a church, and these people were wearing like very thick like collars, but it was white gowns, big fluffy shoulders, white coming up to here to the neck collar. I thought I was seeing ghosts, and I got freaked out, so I started running around in this place. But first I was drinking water out of this thing inside of the church. I guess that's where they baptize you. They put the water on your head. I was drinking the water out of it. And just being me, I was kind of hungry, and I was hoping that they have a refrigerator. But they didn't have refrigerators back in, those days, because they weren't invented yet. So they had to run around, chase after me, calm me down and everything. And I was recorded by the people of the church, inside of the church, and outside by the people who went to the church. up above the church in the craft in Romania hundreds of years ago. We went back into the craft, and then the next thing you know, more buttons, traveling. Then we're in the second Ming dynasty. The second Ming dynasty landed the craft. We all went outside of the craft, and we were seized by the emperor's guards, and we went into the palace, and we met the second emperor of the Ming dynasty, and something bad happened, you know. We were I was hungry. I was telling them I was hungry. They brought us some like a soup, but I was like, I'm real hungry, you know. I was real hungry, and I couldn't eat that, you know. I didn't know what it was. I wanted food. I just couldn't eat just the soup because that would just make me hungrier. And you know, and then a nice lady, a nice older lady, and a nice older man, they took us to one of these rooms. It all had the paper walls. I never seen kind of like these all these paper walls inside of this place. It was kind of like dry. Everything was made out of wood, and it had the paper walls. And I poked the paper wall with my finger and stuff like that. And they had the bathroom. It was a hole in the ground. It was a hole in the ground. Me and the boy hiker thought it was kind of funny that it was a hole in the ground. And then later on, I decided to get up, and which wasn't a good idea for me because I got in big trouble by the emperor and the guards and everybody. Just being a kid, not knowing really where I really was, and I started running around the place looking outside, you know, and the lady staff member was trying to hunt me down. One of the lady staff member. And then I found myself running past two of the emperor's guards going downstairs in this place. And what I found myself was standing in front of this man who was laying on the floor with lots of flowers around him. And what I figured out here, you know, later on in the years when I came back to this time, and I grew up a little bit, I'm pretty sure that was the first emperor. He was dead. And he was laying down on the ground, and they were giving him flowers and stuff. But I ran into one of the rooms, and these rooms was where they bury the people. And me and this lady staff member was trying to hold the door closed from the guards trying to break in, and these guards weren't messing around. And the lady staff members, she had a wristwatch ring on her finger, a wristwatch ring, and I guess it flinged off when we were trying to keep the door closed. And here later, 400 years later, they found the lady staff member's wristwatch ring in the sealed vault, and in the emperor, emperor's palace.
Oh wow!
And, yeah, that's the lady's staff member's wristwatch ring. It belongs to her. It's very old now. And then the nice older man got in trouble because of me, and I think that the emperor did something very bad to him in front of me. I think I'm not too sure because it was such a traumatic experience. What I gave witness to, it was either he cut off his hands or he cut off his head in front of me. And later, I guess the next day, we were taken back to the craft, and we got out of there. We were taken to a place in Peru after that, into Peru, where the Chachapoyas are. The Chachapoyas, the cloud people. They call them the cloud people. The cloud warriors and the Chachapoya. I became one of the Chachapoyas. I met my family there, I met the man with the blonde hair and he had the blue eyes. And met the people there. A nice woman, a Chachapoya woman. She let us hold the puppy. She gave us children to hold to hold a puppy. And being kids, we all wanted to fight over the puppy to see who gets to sleep with the puppy at night. So
of course.
and the people from Machu Picchu came and invaded, and they climbed into us Chachapoyas, the tower, the entrance. They started into the little V area. They started climbing up to the walls, and the elders were throwing spears and they were killing each other. And they chopped off his head, the blonde-haired guy, and many of the other elders. They killed them, and we were all crying and stuff. And we ran into like this tunnel area, to like this cave area, and we were screaming and crying. And then my elder came back in the craft, in my elder father, Extraterrestrial, and I got into the craft. We all got into the craft, and I immediately drove the craft to Machu Picchu, and I buttoned Machu Picchu. Every time I pressed the button in the craft, destruction, 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 destruction. I destroyed Machu Picchu. I destroyed it. That's why all the people can't figure out what happened to Machu Picchu. It was a little boy, because they killed the little boy's elders of the Chachapoya, and I took my vengeance on them. They chopped off my elders' heads and they killed my elders. I love my elders very much. And for someone to do that in front of children and show who they are, and me being from the future and seeing this and giving witness to this, I felt that it was the right thing to do, because they were bad people and they killed my family. So I destroyed their village. I destroyed their religion. And that was the end of it. Then we were taken to, I think it was here on these lands, in what is called now by the white man, it is called America. But many thousands of years ago, at least 20,000 years ago, before the great flooding of Earth, I was taken all around the Four Corners area, and I also died back in time before my physical natural childbirth. Physically, not past life experience, not incarnation, but physically died. I fell off a rock and died. And I went to heaven. I fought evil. I have all the pictures of this. I'm recorded and documented on petroglyphs, also in the underground city, which is located in the Grand Canyon. A lot of places. I'm recorded. And then I was even taken back even further back in time, many millions of years, more than 20 million years, because I pressed inside of the craft on the console, the numeric value on the craft on the console, the highest numeric value. I pressed it over and over and over again, like 9999999999999, filled it all the way up. So probably at least 100 million. I had, when I got out of the craft landed. I walked out of the craft, and then I was immediately held by a giant taller than a telephone pole. There was a furry woman, running and jumping up at his legs because she thought I was something to eat. A woman covered in hair who was not a human being. She thought I was something to eat. She was trying to eat me up. And the first words that were spoken many millions of years ago were these words in perfectly clear English and very loud. Put me down. And he was startled when I said that. Startled. And he seen what she was doing. And he was like, no, you can't have this. So he put me high up on a rock.
Mm-hmm.
And then later on, the next day, I got the courage to climb down that rock, and she came a running around the side, and she was yelling at me, growling at me, sniffing at me, looking at me on all fours like this, and then
Mm-hmm.
stood up. And then I handed her a flower. I picked right beside me of one of the flowers that was right there.
Mm-hmm.
And then something got into me. Something got into me. Like I felt like I had all the world's oceans inside of me. And then me and her had the sex. We had the sex. And then I'm a dad. I had the sex with Eve. So, and I got all the proof of everything. So
This is
up. I.
Oh, I mean, again, the incredible detail that you share with us in this story, and believe me, there is much more that we'll get into as we go forward. I want to ask you a few questions at the moment because, again, this is so fascinating and so many things come to the surface when I hear you tell this story. But let me start with something a little bit more benign in the way of these questions and ask you something I think a lot of us would like to know. Why do you think that you have full conscious memory of this experience where others who have undergone a similar process don't or have just fragmented bits of memory? How come you can remember everything in such detail?
I'm supposed to. I was driving the craft. I have all the proof. I've been recording and documenting everything before the humans were created. My living room is covered with ancient history, everything proper, not speculations, not then contradicting speculations, but the physical proof only coming from me, not coming from the internet. I'm supposed to. I'm documenting and recording everything.
Mm-hmm.
I'm supposed to. I was driving the craft. Just awake, running, basically born running. You know what I mean?
Okay. Sure. So if this is your purpose, is this how you resonate with this? No, how do I want to say this? So you resonate with the idea that this is your purpose, that you have this information and experience to share with the rest of us, correct?
Yeah.
Is this supposed to help us along in a positive way to connect with extraterrestrials, or is this something? I mean, the story is a very harrowing story and full of trauma. Should we expect something like that with contact from ETs, or was there anything positive about this that you took away from it?
Basically, you're here because we gave you life. I fought evil. I've been through the steps. I was given extraterrestrial technology, implants. I died before my natural childbirth. I was taken further back in time. I became a deity and a father to humanity. Creation, all the way, all the steps, all the way, recorded, documented
Okay.
through all
But
history.
I know you had a camera along with you during this experience, right?
No.
Oh, you didn't?
No.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, I misunderstood that.
No, see, I'm recorded on petroglyphs. I'm recorded and documented in heaven by the elders themselves. I'm recorded and documented by the extraterrestrial elders themselves. I'm recorded by the elders back in time. It's just, I will never lie just to suit others' idealistic, religious, or superstitious belief need systems to make them feel happy, because I know I'm being watched by everybody, by the elders themselves. And if I fall short of any little detail and start lying, I can get in big trouble. No, I'm not going to lie for anybody. I have all the physical proof. Physical proof, not speculation, not speculations, not coming off the internet, not coming from movies, not coming from books, not coming from authors. Just me, the first source. The source that's always been here since the beginning.
Okay. Something happened with your audio there. I don't know if you have a microphone, maybe it cut out the connection, but I just noticed this last thing. So as you look at that very quickly, I'm going to ask you on the next question. I mean, you mentioned that you fought evil in heaven. My question for you on this is very interesting. How do I want to say this here? Uh, okay, so if we're living in a dualistic reality, the third dimensional is primarily known to be a duality and have such polarization. We can see this in many different ways. Yes, no, preferable, non-preferable, white, black, and so forth. The list is endless. Now, it's my understanding that once you step out of this duality, you enter more into a singularity within connection to the source, to the all, to this infinite energy that we might be a little bit more aware of outside the physical form. How does something like duality, wherein there are opposing forces fighting each other, exist in a place like heaven that, again, in my understanding, is supposed to be on a more harmonious vibration?
Heaven is harmonious. A lot of people, I'll just say this really quick. A lot of people call tornadoes and hurricanes, they call them hurricanes. They're not hurricanes at all. People go outside and look up and oh, look at the clouds. Not clouds at all. They go, oh, look at that face in the clouds. It's not a face. It's an actual being, just on a higher evolutionary level. There's water in the ground. I mean, there's life in the ground. There's life in the ground. Little life, bugs. There's life in the water. Fish, plants. There's life walking on top of the soil. People, animals, trees coming out of the ground that gives you food. Water that you can drink. And there's another form of life everybody's been looking over, just like my son said, there's life up above you, watching you at every given moment. That's what we transition into. We are not your clouds. We're not your clouds. We're not your storms. We're not your hurricanes. We're another form of life here on this world that has been here in existence longer than humanity. And I became a part of this, as I have pictures of myself in heaven and on earth from the ancient past and in the present.
Okay. But still, does that imply that we don't really ever escape duality, and that in the afterlife and in what you might call heaven, we still find these opposing forces going head to head, or is it something else?
You merge, just like you see what you call clouds on every given day. Some may be thousands of years old. A person may be thousands of years older than you. And then a person just like today. And then you go into each other's house. And then,
Okay. I can picture what you're saying in respect to vibration and perhaps...
Divinity.
What's that?
It's called
Divinity. Okay.
Yeah, divinity.
So you believe that you are some sort of incarnated, and correct me if I'm wrong, incarnated higher vibrational energy that you might call a deity or something like that. Again, in this respect, all right, if that's the case, and our soul, as we know it, is sort of fragmented over a whole bunch of different experiences that are, for all intents and purposes, not linear. Is this something that we might all have an aspect with? For example, you just have opportunity to get into that, get into touch with that higher part of yourself, where maybe the rest of us just haven't had the experience or were given the opportunity to do so. Do you think we all have this higher vibrational high? God, I'm having trouble expressing this. Higher self, like the way that you've experienced and now can identify with this very holy deity or energy, I should say.
It's your conscience, your ego, 100% ego. It's not an incarnation. It's just your being. I got pictures of myself fully with the head, arms, neck, shoulders, chest, legs, and in my private area in heaven, standing up with wings.
Wait, you have a picture of you in heaven standing there, just the way you described? How was that taken? How was the picture taken?
You see, because the transferal of transcendence, because I was taken back in time before my natural childbirth, and
Mhm.
I died. My spirit ascended into heaven outside,
Mhm.
and I became a part of our living environment that is actually alive.
Mhm.
And it's in this that when I passed, I came back to life into myself, into my own being, came back to life, and the transfer of transcendence traveling past my childbirth, time traveling past my childbirth in a craft, deity. I can take pictures of myself in heaven, my past and my future self. At the same time, there's two of me, but in divinity, in heaven, you can be many places at the same time.
Mhm.
Like in pictures that I have, I'm in 4 different places at the same time, upstairs and downstairs. I'm just a singularity
Mhm.
of myself with the cell phone camera doing the ultimate selfies in all history. Click. I'm a
Are
deity.
the- are these pictures something physical though? I mean, I can understand having
Yeah.
a okay, so they are physical. What is the medium that yeah, I'm having trouble understanding how the physical was somehow being used in the spiritual world that you were in. I'm just trying to make the connection to kind of visualize this better. Um, was it your mind that took the picture and then transferred it to a medium, or was it like a camera in a sense technology that we know? Or
Heaven, in heaven, things might not happen now in heaven. Things thousands of years ago could happen today, or things thousands of years in the future could happen today, or things that happen today can happen in the past thousands of years ago or in the future. It's
okay,
called divinity. The word divinity, listen to the word divinity, divide, divinity,
hmm
many, many times.
hmm.
So there could be, plus there's infinite parallel universes, which I have discovered and have the actual pictures of right here. That big blue one right there, that picture right there. It explains I'm standing next to Marduk of ancient Babylon and the dragon in heaven and on earth at the same time, taking a picture and exposing what it looks like, exposing in the middle the symbol, the reality of infinite parallel universes, connecting, bridging everything together, the bridge. I became the bridge as up and above in heaven, as on earth, as from the ancient past and the future. That symbol of my divinity can
hmm
be seen over my head in heaven, can also be seen and recorded by the elders themselves who don't lie about anything
hmm
on petroglyphs.
Okay. Okay, very good. All right. Let me ask you a little bit more about the extraterrestrials that you came into contact with. A lot of discussion goes the way of, are these purely physical beings? Are they interdimensional? Is there anything in between? Are the extraterrestrials that you had contact with primarily physical, or is there some sort of other etheric component? You mentioned pressing a button to fire this weapon from the craft. Was the craft itself predominantly physical? So again,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
so it is actually physical, but they're able to travel interdimensionally, and it's not necessarily part of their
Becoming
nature. Or
becoming a singularity separated from all existence. Becoming a singularity separated from all existence inside of the field that they generate. So you're separated from all existence. You could be standing right in front of somebody inside the craft outside. You're inside the craft, but you start messing with the keyboard like I did in front of the
Mhm.
on the console, and then next thing you know, you're time traveling.
Why do you think you were allowed to drive the craft? Was it because you perhaps plugged into their collective consciousness, or you just
Yeah,
happened to deviously jump over in the seat? How did that work?
it was a part of my destiny, you can say, my divinity. Basically, the minute I
Okay.
stepped foot on that hike and I stepped foot on that craft, the minute I stepped foot on that craft and that hike, my destiny was calling me. My destiny took flight. My
hmm
destiny, my divinity took flight. I was supposed to do this. Everything happens for a reason. Some things are more real than you can even possibly comprehend or even imagine. I am who I am doing these things. I'm a participant. I'm not an observer. I'm a participant.
Mm-hmm.
The
Absolutely.
participant. Now, heaven. Now, they are also in heaven. This picture, because of my divinity, I am taking a picture, a mirrored image. This is a real extraterrestrial in heaven. This is what they look like. This is my elder with the one who I said looked like they had the elephant skin. You can see his eyes, his nose, his mouth, everything. This picture only comes from me. It doesn't come off the internet. This is my elder. This is the guy who was driving inside of the craft with me, who was who was in the underground city, who put his hand on my shoulder. That's him. He's in heaven.
Huh.
Now, we have extraterrestrials from other worlds in heaven. And I have, boom, the proof. Hi, how you doing? This picture doesn't come on the ground, come from the ground. This picture was taken directly over above my head in heaven. Now I only had half of the picture because of divinity. It works like this. If you have half of a picture of someone's face, half of a picture, and then you use the mirror effect because divinity is another level of life. Like you're inside of a fish tank. The fish looking outside of the fish tank. You might appear upside down to them. So how do you change the image for them? You make it right side up. It's not rocket science. But all these people don't keep on using the word clouds. And they're never going to get it straight about heaven until they stop saying clouds and saying, well, those are people up in heaven right above us. They give us rain. Like when it rains, everybody comes together. When you look at the sky, it's all gray. It's all the same color. All the people in all the world who passed over bring life-giving water for you to drink. You're actually drinking your ancestors.
Interesting thought. I can say with the utmost honesty that I've never thought of that.
It's not a thought. It's reality. And you've got extraterrestrials in heaven too. Whatever dies here goes up.
Well, you know what? You do some interesting work when it comes to, the mirroring images, and, there's a little bit I'd like you to elaborate on with that. But before we get to it, I understand, as you've mentioned, that there were several other people along for this experience with you. And while you may not be able to name them today, you know that they were there. At any point when you returned and, sort of got back to, ground zero, so to speak, in the time that you're in now, was there ever any discussion amongst the group of what had happened, or any talk between people? Did anyone share some of the same sentiments or talk about the horrors that they had felt going through this experience?
Basically, we were all made to forget, but the little girl, the little blonde-haired girl, and we all woke up at the same time. And we were all looking at each other like that. And the little blonde girl said, something happened to us last night, and I want to go back to camp. And then the lady staff member said, okay, I'll take her back to camp. And they were, the staff members were like, well, I'll take her back to camp, because they were wanting to go back to camp. But us kids, us boys, we kept on going to the 50-mile hike. When she said that, the little blonde-haired girl, I got up. I stood up in my sleeping bag, just laying down position. I stood up, and I hate that I said this to her, because I love her so very much, because a lot of stuff happened to us. I said, what's the matter? Are you chicken? And then we finished the hike. We came back a couple of days later. We had all the campers and all the staff were out, except for a few staff members were inside of the kitchen. All the campers were out on an overnight hike. They were all on an overnight hike. So, and it started to rain. It started to rain that night. So early in the morning, you see all the whole camp come and running back into their cabins because they're drenched. Their sleeping bags are soaked. But that night, after I got taken to the mess hall to have dinner, we had hamburgers, we had French fries and chocolate milkshakes, and we got to watch a movie. It was American Werewolf in London. It was on a projector.
Mm-hmm.
And the staff members approached the other staff member hikers and said, "Where's the lady staff member and the little blonde girl? They didn't come back with you?" And they said, "No, they're still missing." So all the staff who was on whatever, who was up, all the staff started searching for the lady staff member and the little hiker. They were missing.
So 2 didn't come back?
They were missing, but they found them later on the next day, and they were distraught. They were shaken. They were crying. They were starving. They were hungry. They were cold. They were wet. I'm very angry about that, because in the beginning, those staff members should have marched our asses right around and took us back to camp when they seen that deer laying dead right there on the ground, but they didn't. We kept on.
Now, you've also talked about you feel that they might have known this is something that was going on there. What makes you feel that they had prior knowledge to something like this occurring, and why would they put you guys in such a perilous situation?
On purpose. I don't really like to speculate and then contradict, but I don't know. But if it is such a thing, if there is such a case and they're doing this on purpose, it's because someone is being paid to do this, and it's supposed to be a top secret thing that's, kid factory, dude. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And if that's the case, close it down. Close the whole damn show down. Close them down. I want to talk to the lady staff members. I mean, the lady staff member and little girl hiker and the other boy hikers and the other men staff members. I want them found. I want them found now. I'm not messing around. I have all the proof of everything. And I'll be damned if that camp sits on their ass about this.
Have you, since this experience occurred and you've grown up a bit in life, going back in retrospect in your mind, thinking about this, have you ever tried to reach out to anybody else who had gone through this with you, or did it kind of end at a certain point during your youth and you all went your separate ways?
What you just said, separate ways, because we were just children. We were made to forget, but the little blonde girl hiker and the woman staff member were more aware of the things because they were women. Now, when things, when you probe into someone's private area, when you're a woman, shit. When you're a man, when you're a boy, you kind of let that stuff go. You kind of let it go because you don't really, really didn't bother you. But if you're a woman, a girl, you're going to remember that. And then, what happened to me when I was younger, it took a little while to remember, but heaven showed me. The extraterrestrial elders showed me. My elders back in time showed me. Mm-hmm. And I showed me. There was nobody else that showed me anything.
Do you think that this...
I went back and I looked around, and everything was there just the way I imagined it. Just the way I saw it before I even stepped foot in the car, because I had a job, I had a little money, and I hit the road. And when I got there, I was on my hands and knees crying, remembering everything. Everything was just flooding in. And there I am on petroglyphs. There are the other hikers on petroglyphs. There's the extraterrestrial elders on petroglyphs. My elders recorded everything of ancient native Pueblo, ancient native Hopi, ancient native Zuni. All the great-grandchildren all the way around the Four Corners area recorded. Now, so the elders don't lie. The elders do not lie. The native, ancient, my elders do not lie. We record everything the way it is, and we say it over exactly the same way every single time, because we don't want to lie, There's no respect in lying, and you can get in trouble if you lie. I will only tell the truth. I don't care if it goes against other people's religion, superstitious belief, or scientific belief needs systems, just to make them feel happy about it. I'm not going to lie. I don't give a damn.
Right. And this is one of the reasons, you know, it comes out in your voice, it comes out in your story, the conviction that you have behind what you're telling us. And again, that's going to be something that lends more credibility to what you're saying. But you're saying that you've visited these petroglyphs and you've seen them with your physical eye, right?
Yeah. I got pictures of me in heaven standing next to the bad one himself, the evil one. Now, there ain't no white man in all history could take pictures of himself up in heaven, let alone stand next to someone who's pure evil. I'm a deity. These things have actually happened to me. These are parts of my physical life. Through divinity, through time travel, through the extraterrestrials, through my elders. Now, it's people today who don't know these things because they weren't there millions of years ago. You people haven't been here 100 years. I have been here for many millions of years, longer than all of you. I have all the proof of our true history in my living room coming just from me. And the people in heaven, the extraterrestrials themselves, and the elders themselves. It doesn't come from anybody else.
Big Cat had a good question, and I'm going to rephrase a little bit for clarity's sake. But he was wondering what heaven itself thought of what the extraterrestrials were using you for, and I'll expound upon that and say, was there any part of heaven, in the respect that we imagine it, that frowned upon the activity or the way that you were taken?
Well, there's many elders up there you'll come across your whole life. And if there are important things that have transpired in your life, like such as my case, it's a whole different ballgame. Now, you basic humans, you're not as evolved as I am. In your evolution, a lot of you came from me. And that's what you don't know, is that a lot of you came from me. Look at the traits. I was taken back in time before my natural childbirth. I died before my natural childbirth, going physically, spiritually to heaven, while my body lay dead physically on the ground before I was born. So I have extraterrestrial technology. I'm going to heaven before my natural childbirth. It opens up to so much. You can't even imagine. If you looked into my pictures, if you really looked into my pictures, you would see so much. I mean, it's not what people say. It's not all pearly gates and stuff like that. No. It's way different than that. What they describe in the Bible. It's way different. There's evil up there. There's constant fighting, just like the humans do on Earth. Now, what I know from experiences, when all the humans stop fighting on the surface, that all the elders up above, all the good and bad, because bad is a power source. Bad can bring you tornadoes. Bad can bring you hurricanes. Bad can bring you lightning and thunder. Bad can bring you fire. It's a power. But it's on a level of divinity, nothing more, nothing less. Pure divinity, like a tree. When you look at a tree, how many branches do you see in a tree? How many times does it branch? Trees are pure divinity. Water is pure divinity. I became a pure divinity only because of the transcendence in me. Through the motions that transpired in my life going through the great hike. So it's easy for me to tell you and show you, but it's kind of like that saying, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink.
Right.
Now, what you will experience is a lot of people going into your house, like your house here, your house. But it's not made of wood or brick or stone. It's made of the natural environment. but you make it a house. And then you can see the profile of your face. And then inside of your house, there are many things could be happening. So you are many instances all at one. So actually, I can be taking 15 pictures of myself and be on the surface, making it 16 while stuff's going on upstairs. Divinity, the name divinity, listen to it. Divide, divinity, divide. More than one. Also the box cube. If you put the puzzle together, me transcending into heaven before I was naturally born, holding the extraterrestrial's box cube. There's someone in the Bible that got kind of scratched out. An angel in the Bible. Metatron. A Metatron.
You're Metatron as well?
The divine presence. The most powerful divine presence. Recording everything all through history with the box cube, taking aboard the craft. Kind of like Enoch, but I'm not Enoch. But Enoch didn't have the box cube. I had the box cube. I was the younger one. I was the younger one, taken up into the youngest angel, taken up into heaven before my birth. All this stuff, put the pieces of the puzzle together. I'm Metatron with the physical proof. I actually got pictures of me holding the box cube in my hand while the other hand is touching fire in heaven.
Is there, and I think I speak for most of us here in the chat and those listening to the show, is there a place that we could view these pictures? Do you have them online or anywhere like that, or in any sort of published work that we could go and look at these pictures for ourselves?
Facebook, Kenneth Pass, Facebook. YouTube, Kenneth Pass, Ken Pass. Twitter, Bahana from the Hopi Prophecy. Your true white brother from the Hopi Prophecy. I'm Adam. I'm Adam, and Adam as in Adam and Eve. I had sex at the beginning. I helped create humanity. Heaven, Metatron with the box cube, recording everything all through history. Bahana from the Hopi Indian prophecy, the Hopi native prophecy, that's on Prophecy Rock. I'm on recorded on petroglyphs, the Prophecy Rock. Kenneth Pass. Hi.
Oh my God. Okay. Lee Bodge. Lee Bodge was asking in the chat. He wanted to know if you knew what was inside the box cubes by any chance.
I have no idea. See, I was just a kid. I was told to do something, and my elders basically, when you're elders, especially if they're people from another world, you're going to do it.
Yeah, well, that's one of the curious things when you're talking about this. It seems like it's right through the eyes of a child. Even in some of the verbiage that you use, it's reflective of an immature mind in respect to physical development and so forth. So again, there's another little bit of an element that's interesting to look at in looking at your story as an entirety.
I do every day. I'm living it.
Let's see. Well, let me ask you, because you had mentioned that when you first got into the craft and some things occurred, you said that they inserted something into your nose and there was a crack. And there's some other physical anomalies as well that you've come back with. Have you ever had those examined by a medical professional? And if you have, was there any thought of what those might be?
Those people, they just looked at me like, yeah, sure. Okay, never mind. And then just did their other practices and routines, like whenever I went to the hospital and had something to look at, or, just totally ignored. Basically a medical malpractice lawsuit. I can take my doctors to court at any given time because I wasn't lying. You don't mistreat the patient and give them false prescription to drugs. Number two, medical malpractice. Now, when we said we came in contact with people from another world, we weren't, messing around. And now these doctors and these nurses, There's going to be a lawsuit, damn it. Someone out there is going to be like, I need lots of money and going to take them to court and going to win because I told the truth and they didn't check and they gave me drugs and I didn't need and it hurt me.
Mm-hmm.
So, no, but they didn't. They just basically quacked me off, if you know what I mean.
I do. I absolutely understand that. And, you know, we've seen things like that occur before in other situations. Are you still visited by these extraterrestrials in one way, shape, or form? Is it through dream or is it physical? What's the experience like for you today?
Physical. Just physical.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, just basically, you know, doing the zombie walk. They want you under their control because they don't want you to freak out. Even me, because they know me. They know me all too well because they can see inside of you. I mean, you can't lie to them. You cannot lie to them no matter what because they can look right into you and see everything you ever did in your life. So basically, they know you better than you know yourself. They want to make you safe. They don't want no harm to come to you, which, you know, or harm coming to themselves. So that's why it's a medicated state. You know, like, what do you call a person who gives you medicine when you're in operation? What do you call that person?
An anesthesiologist.
They have an anesthesiologist, sort of, kind of like Troy off of Star Trek, the Beta Z Troy, who gets into your mind and sedates you, so that way you don't cause harm to yourself or harm to others. You're easy, more manageable, and basically you're just along for the ride. You're a puppet along for the ride.
What do you think some of the more sexual contact was about? If it wasn't just procreation, do you think that there was another ulterior motive there in the way of perhaps energy manipulation, the way we've seen in certain Black projects here? Because there's a lot of study and focus around sexual energy as being the core creation energy that we use in so many other places in life that you wouldn't normally expect to find sexual energy. It's just not seen as what we normally associate it with. So again, my question is, was there any other intention that you felt in the whole sexual aspect of this that was something more than just procreation?
Procreation, giving a gift that is given, to create a family, not religion, but to create a family. Colonization, children of the children, you could say. And then later on in your life, if you're so lucky to have sex with one of the women who finds you attractive, and through your life and through your contacts with the other species, hey, you know, that's up to you. But as far as me, I had sex at the dawn of man, and I got the proof of what Eve looks like. I got the proof of what's left of the giant who held me in his hand. I got the proof of it. I'm supposed to have this. It's family. I'm family. I'm very old family, but I'm still very, very family. Family would have family photographs. Family photographs. I'm dad.
This is, you know,
a child grandfather.
Now, you know, being where you're telling me that you're coming from, I would assume that you obviously understand that for some people in this day and age, this is going to be a very hard story to take in and perhaps even harder to swallow. But again, you know, being a higher vibration entity and having the experiences that you've had on those levels, I would assume that you would understand the nature of patience in the process of not necessarily, I mean, you've already figured it out. Right. But now it's time for the rest of us. Right. Now it's our turn. So in the way that we would raise children, of which I have two, you know, you want to allow them to sometimes make those mistakes or act out in a certain way so that the experience that comes next is reflective of what they just did. Now, you know, I feel a sense of frustration in you that you're not able to get this out as quickly, or it's just not seeming to happen for you. In respect to trusting the universe and that theory, okay, understanding that there's a process and timing to everything. Do you think there's a reason that you have not physically reached your destination with the Hopi culture, or do you think that there is something more to it? Could there be an energetic block somewhere within yourself? What do you think, man?
Basically, the truth. Well, all I can do is to say the truth, and what I know is the truth, and have the proof of it. Like I said many times, but okay, like your children are destroying something that is so precious in all of the universe, and they won't listen to their father or one of their ancient ancestor fathers. Totally disrespect. Now, what would happen? What would happen if you've disrespected your father or your mother in your day and age? What would happen to you? Would you wake up off the floor? Would you wake up off the floor and go, what happened? Oh, dinner's in the kitchen. When you get up and you wake up, and because I knocked you on your ass. Well, see, humanity is destroying this world at a much alarming, much faster rate, just like kids when they get in trouble. Children, you are in big trouble. And I have the proof and the truth for a reason, is for you to have that wake-up call, because it's now the wake-up time for all of you.
Yes.
You can see and interact with people from all around the world and see all the crap that's happening from all around the world and communicate with each other and talk about it. And now you're talking to one of your ancient ancestor fathers who's basically going to kick all of your ass.
Can you just jiggle your microphone a little bit? It worked last time. You went out for a moment there and we got you back clear. Is there anybody else that you've come up against or come in contact with in this world that's walking about right now in this day and age that can say that they had also some sort of hand in our ancient creation? Or are you really the only one that's like this?
Just the hikers. Just the hikers. You see, it would take incredible claims, take incredible facts. You know how they say? But it's in this that I have the facts of everything, not looking off the internet. That's just coming from the first source of information. And when people see me standing up in heaven next to the bad one, the evil one himself, they start to question their reality, and then they hate me about me breaking the illusion of their realities. Well, hey, this is Earth. I've been here for longer than all of you. It's time for you people to wake up and stop doing all the bad things that you're doing and get with the family. Basically, get with the program. Time's running out. It's going to be time for all of you to come home.
Do you have any fear associated with this experience today? And insofar as the way you talk about the extraterrestrials, I'll be honest, I think I would be scared shitless if I came up against something like that, even today in my 39 years young. Is there fear still within you, or has there been fear since the initial shock of the experience, or do you feel that you become more communal with the experience that you had and possibly your relationship with these extraterrestrial beings if it's ongoing?
I love and respect, and I'm very thankful for all my relations. I know that I should not fear, because fear is a choice, and I choose not to have that choice for me, because I've been through so much in my life, and that choice would be numb, would make me feel numb, especially when all the things that I gave witness to. I choose not to make that choice for myself, but to continue on with the great hike. And all I need is a car. Like you said earlier, all I need is a car and money for transportation so I can actually go to the Hopi. Because they're waiting for me. They've been waiting for me for a long time. And a lot of people said that I would bring religion of my own. Nah, I'm just going to bring the truth with the pictures and be like, here you guys go. You know, it's a family thing. We've been doing this stuff longer than the white man came here on boats, and it's recorded in everything that we got. So it's just family, you know? And I'm part of family, and I like that. What I did like was the food, because, you know, I was a kid and I was just hungry. I've always, all through history, I was looking for the refrigerator. I never found one. That was a big bummer, you know? I was hungry all the time.
It's such a funny element, kind of looking back. You have this extraordinary experience occurring, and here you are looking for a refrigerator to find something to eat. I mean, it's sort of comical in the way that it fits in the story, but again, makes a lot of sense as to why that would be the case. So, I mean, I have to smile about that. What are your thoughts on The Secret and manifesting abundance? Using some sort of mental projection or concentration of energy on, again, abundance itself. Are you familiar with that concept?
Yeah, it's called the right place at the right time, or the wrong place at the wrong time, or there's McDonald's, grab a paper. You know what I mean?
But can you draw some of these experiences to you consciously? So, for example, if I needed something material, let's say, as an example, or I wanted a new girlfriend, that would be nice. But regardless, if I were able to sit and work with that, do you believe that you could draw these experiences to yourself? Not necessarily that you called the one that you're describing on your own, but other areas of life.
It's free will. I can't go against the divinity that I'm made from. I can't go against myself, and I can't tempt the divinity within me to do the things that you people do for your greed, your restaurants, your recreation, your this, your that, the other thing. It's a whole different existence on the things, on the facts that you people take for granted every day, that it's been a part of this world. See, I'm a part of our environment, part of the trees, there's art in all things around you, in all that you see and know. You are also the art in all things around you, in all that you see and know. Just be the good art in all things and carry on.
Where does something like the Bible fit into this new information for most of us, your story? Where does the Bible or anything religious really fit into this, or doesn't it?
The Bible is about prophecy and people, and some of the stuff of the some of the stuff of the divine. It's not religion. It's just family. Stuff happened. There were bad people this way, good people this way, people who knew these things this way, people who didn't know these things this way, people who laughed and ridiculed, just like I've been ridiculed for the last 10 years. Laughed and ridiculed at for coming out and on a Facebook in these UFO groups and showing and sharing, and then having these jokers laugh at you and totally disrespect you, even though they don't have fact one or have any knowledge of anything, because this goes so far into so many more applications that it's you guys are just not that evolved yet. You haven't caught up to me, and I've been here for millions of years. You're just now starting to learn about this stuff, and now you got the elders saying, yes, we're here, but you guys got to be ready to figure out what are the spacecrafts and what is space. It is from the great creator of all creation, which is art. The creator of all things is art, pure divinity art. Such beautiful art, you can't even imagine. It's a trickle-down effect from the divinity, from the very biggest to the very smallest. Like a tree, like a snowflake. You see the art in the snowflake? You see the art in the snowflake?
Yeah.
Trickle-down effect.
Okay. While we have about 15 minutes left here, I'd like to let you get into some of your research in regards to what a lot of us might call pareidolia. Okay. And for those of you who are not familiar, pareidolia is essentially seeing significance in certain objects that may not have that assigned significance, such as a face in the clouds, some sort of figure in the brush, the way that things come together. This is something that people talk about very often. Now, when we look at your photographs and we see this mirrored image there, why do you think pareidolia is somewhat of a false attachment to what you are doing?
Because they can't comprehend what all of this really means. Now, from the easiest step, if you have half of a picture, of someone's face, and you want to see what the whole person looks like, you can just mirror image it. That's not rocket science. Now, whoever made the word pareidolia had no understanding, is basically not evolved enough to even come close to matching me on any subject.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't just understand, and just had to come up with something because he wants to be his name remembered. So he comes up with the name. Well, that's just something that you can see in your mind, like a Rorschach test. You know what a Rorschach test is, right?
Rorschach, yes.
Yeah, kind of like that, but doesn't understand meaning of heaven, doesn't understand the meaning of time travel, doesn't understand the meaning of a tree, doesn't understand the meaning of, well, like I said, divinity, doesn't understand why the grass grows. It just come up with a name. I don't know if it's a Western name, where it came from, who made it, but just didn't understand anything. But it's in this that it's okay. I can see past all deceptions because I became a part of everything, and you can't lie to me.
Are the elementals or the fairy realm?
Yeah. Like the fifth element. Hi, like City of Angels. Hello, but for real. Yeah.
So where does the fairy world kind of fall in between all of this, or is it something entirely separate?
The fairy world?
Yes, the nature entities, nature elementals, and so forth.
They're all around you. You just can't see it because you're just in one shade of one aspect of, like, what you would say you're in a 3D, you're a 3D character. You still classify yourself as a 3D character. You still classify the fifth and sixth and seventh dimension. When it's all related, it's all connected. It's like a good man said, what if I told you the left wing and the right wing belong to the same bird?
Mm-hmm.
Would you believe that?
I do understand that. I do. But, it kind of goes into the realm of, talking about the left brain experience versus the right brain experience. Some people want to sit on either side, say one is more valid than the other. In my opinion, it's the merging of the two and the balance of the two that really gives us the most fulfilling experience we can here.
Water, pure divinity that you can consume, that keeps you alive. It's an art. It's comprised of everything that's about this world. It gives you life, and then you take a leak in, and then you fish, you eat fish. The fish swim in the water to stay alive. There's many things you can't see in this water right now that's alive, that you're drinking, you're consuming. But it's an art form, and it's an art that you can consume to stay alive, just like a piece of an orange or an apple or a steak or anything else. It's art that you consume to stay alive. And then your body is comprised of mostly water. Your brain is electric water. And then guess what, guys? Here's the kicker. Straight upstairs. There's no more color separating us. There's no racial violence upstairs in heaven because we're all the same color. There's no more black. A black man would find out he's not black anymore. He's pure white as the environment. A red man would find out that he's not red no more, but pure white as the environment. A Chinaman would find out that he's not a Chinaman no more, not yellow, but a pure white as the environment. Now the environment can be gray, can be any color sunset, because we just are in all relations. That's why I say I love and I respect and I am very thankful for all my relations. Because I am in all relations. I'm connected.
In your experiences here, were you ever really privy to look at more of our future possible outcomes, or were you sort of limited to experiencing the past through this?
If humanity keeps on the path that leads to the total destruction of this world, he will find out that he is most unwelcome to live underground, because of the elders who live underground already have been there for thousands of millions of years, and they don't really want them interfering with their part of their world, which is living underground.
Mhm.
So when the humanity destroys this world, they won't be welcomed.
Okay.
Most
And this is a question that's coming from the chat that I'm going to spin a little bit for the sake of continuity. Why do you think that some people truly believe that the Earth is flat? What are your thoughts on that?
I don't know. You know me, I don't like to speculate, and I don't like to give into speculations about things, but it's just, you know, why not a waffle? Why not a snow cone? You know, why does it got to be flat? You know, for them, why can't it be? Why can't it be water? And in space, I've already got the proof. I already got the evidence that space is alive. I got pictures of the beings that are bigger than our sun, bigger than our galaxy.
Mm-hmm.
Celestials that you can call, but I got real pictures. My pictures don't come off the internet. I got real pictures of what they actually look like. Space is not an empty void. It is actually alive. It is, like I said, a trickle-down effect of divinity from the creator of art.
Mm-hmm.
We're living inside of God. We're living inside of God.
You know, while there are many things that I agree with you that you express, you know, I don't know what I would give to, you know, perhaps have some of the insights or experiences that you've had, however traumatic. You know, it seems like you have a real mission here, doing what you're doing and expressing what you're expressing. So, my last question to you this evening is, what does that mean for us as a whole, as a collective? What does your story really mean for us moving forward now that it's out, people are hearing it? What comes next?
You can learn a lot from a child because the child has been through so much. A child can be so much because so much has happened to a child, that it's in this that a child is pure with his feelings, his emotions, his anger, his happiness, with his physical being strong and young, that if you can't learn from a child's experience and give recognition to a child for always being here and helping create humanity, now watching humanity destroy itself so very foolishly, and the earth and just everything, and you look at the child and the child looks at you, you know you're screwing up. And you should all stop and come together as a family again. I
So
only want the best.
connectivity.
I only want the best for all of us, not for just myself, but for all relations, the future generations to come, and the very preservation of this world. I've always been here. All of you haven't, but I love and respect all of you anyway. And I say it again. I love and respect, and I'm very thankful for all my relations. I'm only going to do the right things and tell the truth, because I'm a family member.
Well, I thank you very much, Kenneth, for your courage to come forward. This is not easy. Guys, regardless of what you think of Kenneth's story, remember, it takes a lot of strength and conviction to step forward and to continually talk about this experience. You know, some of us might not even wish for that sort of attention, and believe me, I get it, but some of us, unfortunately or fortunately, however you look at it, are gifted with that experience and becomes part of our path here on the earth. So I want to thank Kenneth very much for coming on tonight. I want to very quickly thank you, Third Phase of Moon, personally. Blake and Brent, you guys are awesome. Thank you so much for bringing Kenneth aboard and allowing the masses to be able to hear his story. I want to thank Rich from GUFON. I believe he'll be on tonight at 10 o'clock Eastern, 5 o'clock Pacific. Rich and I work on Third Phase. Of course, we covered Kenneth's story there as well. Guys, definitely go and check out the original interview. Check out the analysis that Rich and I did on Third Phase. Please like and subscribe. And most importantly, please go and check out Kenneth's Facebook page, his YouTube channel. Look at these pictures that he's presenting. And you know what? If it resonates with you, then take it. If it doesn't, then you can move on. It's okay. Not everybody's going to understand this or believe it, and that's fine. But there are people who will take something from this. And perhaps, Kenneth, those are the ones you need to reach the most.
That's right. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, mate. I'm going to take you off for just a moment and close out the show. But if you want to hang around for a second, I'd like to say my proper goodbyes off camera.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Kenneth. Whew. Jesus, man. Lots of energy. I love what I do. I know you guys hear me say this, but it's true. This is really cool. And I think I really covered everything I was going to close with in that last bit talking with Kenneth. Definitely go and check out what he has. And of course, like and subscribe to what he's doing. If this resonates with you, it helps get the stories out there. And you know what, guys, I'm going to be honest with you. In my research, my most recent research, Kenneth's story is one of a multitude of stories that have such gravity. It's not the same. They're not the same stories, but they're very similar in many ways. So you don't be surprised if in the near future, within the next, let's say, I'll give it a timeline, 5 to 10 years, you start to see more people coming out with these, what we consider outrageous stories, when in fact, there might be some validity to them that we just maybe weren't ready to accept at the time that they were presented, or there's another reason in respect to our evolution. Either way, I want to thank you guys once again for coming tonight. Thank you, Third Phase of Moon. Thank you, Rich from GUFON. And thank you, Third Phase, for the awesome channel that's growing. Please like and subscribe. If you want to donate to my channel, Dark Hour Paranormal, you may. It's in the description, along with all the other links that you may find these wonderful interviews that I have talked about during this time. So once again, guys, thank you so much. We will be back sooner than later. All right, with another incredible guest, and just keep your eyes out, and we'll see what happens. We will see what happens next. I don't know why this camera's so shaky. Sorry, guys. Shouldn't be. All right, we'll have to fix that. Okie dokie. All right, folks, have a wonderful rest of your evening. Stay inquisitive, stay curious, and stay magical. Have a good night.